do? Welcome back. Another week with Masculinity Architect in the building. Dealing with some technical difficulties. Camera batteries out. Having to get that external mic audio, but let me get out of my tech space. So, welcome back, brothers. We in there for another one. So you saw the title of the video. You gotta let go, or let your terms be known. You need to understand. Make some choices around here. We're going to have to clean things up. There's a new sheriff in town. Nah, real talk though. So last video was touching on, like I said, a family friend, a bit of an old head. You know, it's dedicated to the old heads. Vested man, 30 years in the game, strong, or at least he thought it was. And he's waking up to the reality that the relationship, I'll just say it, the writing's on the wall. So maybe you're in this boat, but this is dedicated to my old heads. This is dedicated to all the men who are looking at the end and want to leave everything out on the field, or at least, MGM, mature, grounded, masculine men want to come out on top, because in this day and age, that is not always easy. So sit back, hang tight. I've got exactly what you need to know exactly what to do next, how to lead it all the way to the end, or not. But we'll dive in. So, how to know if this is for you? If the writing's on the wall. She's changed, distant, neglectful, or worse, disrespectful. We all know. That's the mark of the beast. Everything she used to love about you is now a pet peeve. Now it gets on her fucking nerves. Since when? You feel me? No matter what you do, she is unhappy. Said best by Will Smith. I'm gonna have to let you go find out how to make your damn self happy. These real conversations. You've grown or matured. This might be your scenario too, right? You've grown up. You've matured. And you now realize this may not be enough for forever. But you want to leave no stone unturned. Why? I know, fellas. I understand. I've been there. Responsibility. Finishing what you start. Integrity. We put our name to something. Not necessarily marriage, even if it's just a relationship. It's all the same boat. But if this sounds like you, stay tuned, because I got just what you need. You have to call it 5 commandments. This is how you lead to the end. But first, let me stop, take a step back. I am Masculinity Architect, Duwaynelangham. Teaching men about manhood and masculinity because nobody showed us, fellas. And as you know, I think that's bullshit. You just tuned in for another live. Before we get in, and I hit you with these 5 rules of engagement for decoupling or doubling down with your woman, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that like, thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe, notification bell over on YouTube, TikTok. Give it a good old follow. Doing lives every week. If you haven't already, drop your comments, questions down below. You got questions, I got answers. This is what I'm here for, doing God's work. If you're not going to work with me one-on-one, another way to reach me directly, it's right here. Hit me with the DM. Hit me with the comment. This is where I get the conversations that we have, the questions that need to be answered, what the people need. This is what I stand for. If you haven't already, absolutely free, go over and check out Deep Dive into the Divine, ebook that will give you the filters. Now I know I talk on here and y'all understand it at this point. Divine masculine and feminine energy is what my work is based in. Inside of that masculine and feminine that we all have, I have it, your woman has it. It's just universal laws and principles. But when you understand this shit, fellas, I'm telling you, professionally, platonic, familial, all dynamics, your parents, your family, your friends, your woman, romantic, it does not matter. It will be so much easier because you'll be able to see it night and day. Why is this happening over here? Why is she like that? Why is he doing that? Why don't we get along? Why are we bumping heads? All of that will clear up so quick. Pick up that absolutely free ebook. Do yourself a favor. And with that, fellas, let's jump right in. Now, there's no easy way to approach breaking up or divorcing. So I want to be clear that this is a serious conversation. And at the same time, I want you to know and understand that it's never too late and there's always something you can do. However, do your due diligence. Make sure it is worth it. Make sure you're in the right position. And I'm going to give you these 5 rules of engagement. It's going to give you everything that you need. Making that tough decision, if it is time to break up, if it has to be divorced, I'm going to tell you this right now. It is the lesser of two evils, whatever you come to, than being stuck on the fence or suffering in a loveless, sexless dynamic where everyone involved loses. I told y'all before, I don't even understand that. Fellas, can we not be honest? Can we not be clear? We're in it for sex. We're in it for sex. I don't care what your libido threshold is to some level or degree. Companionship, that's cool, but I mean, we're men. It's just what we're conditioned for. But that sex, though, that there's only one access to that. So I mean, that's how you got it in the first place. If that's not the case, why are you in it? Oh, that's what's up. Shout out Malik. We got a co-host invite. That might be something I experiment in the future. Drop your comments down below, community, if y'all want to have some co-hosting going on. Big love for that. I love it. TikTok is where it's at. All right. Now, as a man who's been there, weathered the storm, like I said, divorced, 17-year relationship, 15-year marriage, 2 children, put in that work. I know where you've been, fellas. So through experience, trials and tribulation, personal testimony, I tell you, it is in your best benefit. And this is recently, 2022. So just 3 years back on the market type shit. It's in your best interest to lead to the end, to lead all the way through. And I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to leave no stone unturned. I know what it's like. I know what you need. I can tell you all the tools and tips. Now, I say that because regardless of the outcome, be clear, you're in a place you never want to return to. This is going to end, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not talking about the breakup. But what you've done to this point has got to end. The relationship you've had is over, clearly. No sex, no affection, no love, not what you need. You got to accept that from jump. When you get that, then you can get complete. Close that book, and let's start a new chapter. Let's pick up the pen, start writing some pages, because you clearly put that bitch down at some point. And I'll tell you why that too, but just stick with me, right? It's time to put in the work. It's time to see if there is something special here that is salvageable, or if it's simply stale, starving, left for dead on the side of the road on some Mad Max shit, right? Let's dive in, fellas. Number 1, take responsibility. Why? Because this is your work, or lack thereof. Now, I know the red pill rage, finding out about female nature. Hopefully you found out about it before it was in real life. Maybe it was here, maybe it was on some other channels and content. But if you're now seeing behind the veil, behind the curtain, the truth and reality, taking them off the pedestal, unlearning, dismantling the nice guy beliefs, you're now understanding who and what women are. Not better, worse. Like I said, drop the red pill rage. This is just waking up. This is just understanding. Now, with that, you got that all out the way. Let's point that finger back here. Where they say point 1 out there, you got 4 coming back at you. Real talk, fellas. Masculine leads, feminine follows. Be with that. Let that shit sink in, guys. And I say this with no disrespect. And again, I've been there with you. Why I was able to lead it to the end. Why I didn't get divorce raped. Why I'm survived, happy here on the other side, because I led it to the end. If this was going to end, it was going to end on my terms. We're going to end knowing that there was nothing left in the field, end knowing that this was not the place for me and it's time to move on. But it's not just going to be something that takes me through the ringer. It's not going to be something I survive. I've done enough surviving. So let me actually start thriving. I want to show you how to do the same. To do that, you have to take responsibility. Complaints go up, not down. You can talk about what she did, what she's not doing. That's all good. And again, I'm speaking this to my old head of the family. I hope he catches this, because I'm watching and I'm seeing, and I'm watching and seeing the lack thereof. What did I say? Take responsibility for this is your work, or the lack thereof. If you have not been putting in the work, if you have not been holding it down, I'll tell you like this. This is your relationship. She is or was your woman. This is behind your leadership. And your actions have brought you both to this point. And if it wasn't, if she led you here, if this is her relationship, if you are her man, then you need to go ahead and browse the catalog, because we got a lot of other work to do. Just go ahead and sit tight for a while where you are. But this relationship has got to be flipped. Now, for my MGM, mature, grounded, masculine men, or at least working to find, develop, ground themselves inside of that expression, their masculine identity, you take responsibility, because this is all about you. brother. Your North Star needs revision or establishing. Why is that? Because as a man, you've got to be following a North Star. You've got to be following some direction, some sense of purpose, some vision, something that you have built up. Why do I say this? As I say always, and I just said it a few minutes ago, this is how you know it's truth. I'm always talking it. You are your masculine expression. I can give you testimony, but you don't have to be me. I can be the masculinity architect, help you and guide you, but you're not going to be Dwayne. You're not going to be my version of masculinity or any other version. Not that you see on the apps, not that you see on screens. One, all that stuff isn't even real. They're just pixels. But unless it was a real life example of an MG, a mature, grounded, masculine man in your life, father, uncle, brother, whoever, wherever, in the neighborhood, Uncle Jack, whatever, don't matter. But unless you've seen that in your life, and you're still going to need to live up to your own expectation. That is why, gentlemen, you need to have your North Star. Otherwise, what direction are you going? What alignment do you have? How did you end up here? Because you didn't have a North Star. And it's okay. Again, nobody told us. I already called out. That's bullshit. We're just taking the time out to reconstruction. Let's huddle up. Let's get this figured out because this ain't it. Loveless, sexless. Do you feel me? Remember where you started. You had a North Star, I'm sure. You was trying to get to something for show. And you got tied up and distracted, detoured. It's okay. This is the time to course correct. That starts with your responsibility, your leadership. And inside of that, your North Star. You're in this position because you lost control or you lost track from your path. It's time you get back on track. Simple as that. I'm going to keep this simple, fellas. A, B, C. So part one, let's break it off to part C. Assess any gaps in the workability. Once you know your North Star, once you know what you want in a relationship, what you want in a partnership, get an evaluation. Who has she been? Who have you been? How have things been going? What works? What doesn't work? Debrief whatever you've created to this point and get clear on if it's going to work. If it's not something you can bridge the gap, okay, that tells you the direction. You're going to notice that part C, assess the gaps of workability, how things are going, where they are, why. That's where you got to choose. Is it still worth continuing? So at every one of these 5 steps, you're going to check back in. You need to actually see, compared to the North Star, what's our direction? Where's the compass? Oh, you over there. Damn. It might come to that point, fellas. That's the hardest thing when I work with guys. Because let's be honest, we're all human beings. I work with divine, masculine, and feminine energy. You've got it too, fellas. You've got your little boy in there. You've got some trauma, some childhood hiccups. You've got your need for validation. You've got your ego, your identity tied up. And if you're anything like the old head family friend that I'm thinking of, you don't recognize that that little boy just wants a partner. That you're so tied up in the identity of you have a woman, you have companionship, you're not alone, and this is it. This is set. That was the old model. That was the old antiquated. Nobody told us any better, and that's why I'm here doing this work. Because I see grown men not recognize you're perfectly fine, but you're operating like a little boy. And I don't mean that offensively, brothers. This is gonna be some straight talk, guys. I can't give you the white gloves approach. I do that over there with the ladies, talking about that feminine side. On this masculine side, we need some cold hard facts, because this is what you're living through. Sexless, loveless relationship. Why is that? Because you're in a situation or on the fence or not taking action because you're getting what you need. You have somebody there, but that somebody there doesn't respect you, does not love you. Is not the same person, is not following, submitting behind your lead. You're still there. That's not her fault. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you're taking responsibility, when you're taking account, when you're having a North Star and you look at all this, what has you still be there? You got to be honest about that. Oh, you've never been alone in your life. You don't know that you're worthy of love. You haven't had a season of solitude. Not this new incel stuff, but actual solitude. That's voluntary. See, there's a difference, brothers, in being alone. There's a difference in being lonely. And there's a difference in isolation. There's a difference in solitude. If you're going to develop and create anything, you see anybody around me right now? I'm doing this work. You're going to need to chop the wood. You're going to need to become successful. You're going to need to build yourself into something. That's some work you do by yourself at best, if you are lucky, especially in today's day and age where fellowship is gone by the wayside. You got a circle, a wolf pack. Remember The Hangover, the wolf pack? Doesn't even exist anymore. But that's my point. If you're lucky, you've got that. But you're going to need to do some solitude. Why? Because it is your masculine expression. Your masculine has to be developed. You have to work on yourself, fellas. So I can't hammer this down any further, but I really want to give that example because there's real honest conversations to even psychologically break down this shit to understand what I'm talking about, how you ended up here, why. I can give you all the masculine principles. I can give you all the relationship advice, input, counseling, support. And do you understand how and why you ended up there? Are there blind spots, gaps? That's where I say when you assess any gaps in workability, it starts over here with you. Are you in it just for the cookie and you'll do anything? Have you been a nice guy and you probably didn't need to be with her? Did you ever have a North Star? So now you are attached, coupled with this woman following you, and you had no idea where you were going. You just didn't want to be alone. You just wanted some cookie. You just wanted a warm body, a warm hole. You need to figure these things out because you're in a position unhappy, not getting what you want, feeling disempowered, emasculated, all these problems and challenges, surviving. And on the outside, happy wife, happy life. Brothers, I've been there. I was actually happy in my marriage. Behind the philosophy and ideal that I was told, 80-20, might have heard it. Nobody's going to be perfect. Well, these are just things that are missing. Because why? I didn't have a North Star at 22 when I met my wife. 24 when I got married, 26 when I was hitting the marks, following the recipe. Nobody told us that's bullshit. I didn't know who the fuck I was. And even the truths that were still there at 22, I didn't know how to honor and acknowledge and go through some solitude and discover and find myself and find my expression and find out who I wanted to be. Brothers, I'm telling you, so you don't have to experience it like me. And I made it out okay because I'm masculinity architect. I'm doing motherfucking Langham. I'm gonna leave all I got on the field. And I'm not bragging about that shit. But I know how it goes out there. I know what guys go through on the other side of divorce. I got friends, I got family, all the situation. Like I said, I'm thinking about an old head right now, 30 years in the game. And I want to be able to reach out and tell them how to do this. But everybody ain't open, everybody ain't able, everybody ain't ready to receive. And if your mindset is closed off, this is how they are, women, this is how the world is, this is how men have to be, this is how life is. You gotta open up, it's a new game out here. You got to pick up some emotional intelligence. You got to heal those traumas. Maybe you need to go to some therapy. I study psychology. I do what the fuck I do. And I saw a couple of therapists to make sure no stone unturned. Life or death. Am I really going to do this shit? Till death do us part? Wait a minute. And play a character? Oh no. With this? Unsatisfied? Unmet need? Oh no. And this was before I got hip to the female nature of all of it. But on the other side, living my best life. All right, this ain't about me, it's about you. Moving on to number 2. Open up the conversation. Clear there's a problem. First step is admitting it. Now, open up a dialogue, get in communication. She needs to know you're not satisfied. Now, I want you to hear that. Because distinctly, she needs to know you're not satisfied. Why is that important? Because you're the lead. This is your responsibility. I already put all the pressure on you. I tell the ladies over there, they only got one job. That was their video tonight. Their only job is the picker. The masculine, the lead is responsible for everything. Nobody wants to be a leader. The leader's thinking about everybody else. The leader's sacrificing. This is what masculine does. Masculine energy leads. So this is why that whole nice guy philosophies, guys, I'm not picking on anybody. The nice guy shit that I was ingrained to, that I had to grow and mature out of as well. I'm not picking on you. But you got to understand the bullshit that you've been fed. You're the lead. You're providing, you're sacrificing. That is what your value is. And even if it's not even financially, just how you show up, that energy. You provide safety, you provide comfort, you provide logic, you provide direction. So much cannot be accounted for. But understand, if you give that away and be a nice guy, put her on a pedestal because she's got something you want, you've got what she wants. That's the natural dichotomy of all of it. It balances yin and yang. They want what you got, you want what they got. But somewhere we got hypnotized, lost, not told along the way what we have over here, what our value is. That's why we're important. That's why we're responsible. But you got to step into that shit. And it is big leagues, gentlemen. You get into these conversations, you get a lot more power and control and freedom. But you got to take on the real conversations. You got to be able to respond to all the shit that you're creating in your life because it is up to you. Let's go. Open up the conversation. She needs to know you're not satisfied. But taking responsibility for the situation. Don't sprint off to tell her what she's been doing or your demands. Disarm her by owning you should, of course, correct it sooner. And anything that you see contributing to the state of things. Now, you see how careful and articulated that is delivered. Because that's important. That's leadership. No blame, no shame, no complaints. There's nothing. Why would you pass it down? You're in the lead position, guys. That's what I'm trying to step you into. But she needs to know the captain's got a problem. Oh shit, I might be getting put off at the next exit. Without a threat. But hey, we need to get some regularly scheduled maintenance in this bitch. All right. B, ABCs, I'm gonna keep it simple. B, you need to know how she feels about the dynamic. Listen for her perspective and any reciprocated accountability. See why you've led with what's going on, what the problems are, dissatisfied, so on and so forth. You set the tone, you set the pace, you've done what? Let it so. It's only natural if she's mature, if she's a keeper. Again, this is all inside of your assessment, right? That North Star. What type of partner do you want? Does she check out right now in this conversation like that partner? Okay, we might be able to make this work. But this gives her the opportunity. Now, why is it important that you need to know how she feels? Fellas, can you lead if nobody's following? I think you know the answer because that's how you ended up in this situation. So you do want to give her the respect, give her the consideration. And I want to be clear, that is leadership, mature, grounded, MGM, masculine man. That's what I preach here on this channel. You're the emotional intelligence, the containment, the box, the provision, protection, all of it. You are all of that. That's why it's important. That's why I put you first, because of all the shit that you do for her, including in this. You're unhappy and you need to know how she feels. Yes, because is she going to be cooperating? Is she going to be compliant? Is she going to be submissive? Or is it everything? And don't sit there and listen to it. But if she got a whole hour-long speech about everything you've done wrong, if you're catching that sign language shit, if you're waking up to female nature and you see that the red pill rage might be appropriate, this narcissist person is just unwieldy, hey, that may be the case. But again, you need to know that. And this conversation is going to allow you the access to get past the walls, get past the barriers, bridge the gap, whatever is there by waving the white flag to say, hey, look, I'm unsatisfied and you know what? I take responsibility. I hope you hear this, fellas, that in all of this, you have not heard me say, I'm sorry. This ain't no nice guy shit. This ain't no apologetic, happy wife, happy life type shit. This is a leader assessing. You are a CEO of an entity type shit. Let's sit down with the board of directors because something ain't working here. Might have to put it to a vote. Do we continue forward in this direction? And somebody's going to have the executive order. Do you feel me? I'm trying to put you in position, fellas. So please, you want to understand and know how she feels about the dynamic. You want to know her complaints. Guys, that's the most important thing. How do you think you contain for somebody? How do you keep somebody following you? They want to know that you're checking in. And that's one thing. The nice guy spectrum, you can't take a single step because you're too busy. You coming? We going this way? We want to go? I said we're going west, but you think northeast. Okay, it's snowing there. No, that's not leadership. And at the same time, you can't be fully locked in the rails that you forget everybody behind you. You'll look back and they won't be there. If they're starving, if they're left behind, if they're not considered. Or you leave a little room for the creeper in the night to come in and give them what they need. But either way, through your neglect, again, do you catch this, fellas? Your responsibility. What you created, what you've done or not done. I'm trying to put you on game for all of it. And lastly, number C, we're going to keep repeating this. Men are simple, right? Straightforward. So I'm going to keep you 3 simple steps. Assess any gaps in the workability from where or how she views things and revisit, is it worth continuing? And I want to end this with the caveat, it is your lead, so it is your choice. If she's saying so much that her whole spectrum is completely on the opposite of how you view it, her problems, her complaints, how you view it, she doesn't even see it, or it just can't be bridged. You need more sex. She can't spend money. Whatever the situation is, if it's not a bridgeable gap, if you don't view it the same, she's Muslim, you're Buddhist. Do you get what I'm saying? If that gap is not going to be bridged, where somebody's not completely compromised, somebody's not, especially you, completely sacrificing themselves. Now you have to come to grasp for yourself. I do want to be clear, especially when we're talking about marriage. When there's children involved, I do want to be clear. I have learned myself. It takes an extra conversation. As we all know, it's not just about your happiness. It's also what happens with those kids. I led and was responsible to cover that, but there's definitely an impact regardless of how amicable, regardless of how pleasant, how cordial, whether or not the kids ever see a fight, the experience is going to pull you two together, and you are a foundation, a pillar, something that's built up for whole human beings' lives. Now, that doesn't mean that you just bite the bullet. That doesn't mean you just sacrifice. That doesn't mean you stay in it for the kids. And even if you do, maybe it's led that you do you this night of the week, she's doing her that night of the week, all those ways, but that's for, again, because there's all kinds of dynamics to this shit, but that's for the kids to stay in a family unit. How y'all operate in that unit, y'all can be roommates for all the fucking matters. But again, it's for you and your expression. You got to figure that out. You got to leave no stone unturned and answer these questions for yourself. But definitely do not feel like you just need to stay locked in for something that's not going to work, because you'll also be that poor sap of an example of what a man looks like to your sons and to your daughters. So you got to think of that as well. Ultimately, them seeing their parents happy and understanding how the world works and how real relationships are. But as long as you're able to do the work, you also know your partner. You also know if she's going to be vindictive. You also know, hopefully, the type of character, the type of cooperation, the type of compliance, how they would leave the kids. If they're make things being spiteful, being about them, or are they going to make sure that y'all can take care of the kids, if that's the case. These are all things to take in consideration as you assess the gaps in workability and find out, is it worth continuing, or is it time to cut your losses? Like I always say, your lead, your choice. All right, number 3, fellas, move along. You need to know if she's willing to follow. I'm baby stepping it for you, fam. Begin to illustrate or lay out the examples of what you want. Let her know. Be clear. She's got to know your North Star, because again, she's casting her vote for you. She's looking to follow you. Maybe not the you that you have been, but the you that shows up as a lead, and this is that type shit. Because I'll tell you what, and I'll get to in a second, these conversations is not something her feminine energy, unless she's fully just emasculated you and had to step into her masculine energy. She's not likely going to want to take on these conversations. The more of a feminine woman that she is, based on your masculine, of course, she is going to want the hard, tough choices, the love, the kids, the tenure, the investment, how long you've been together, the finances, what it would look like to split apart, whatever. She's going to have to consider all that. You don't want to put that on a feminine woman. Do you? Making the decision for you? Female nature. It's not going to be in your interest, that's for damn sure. Yeah, moving along with number 3. Begin to illustrate, lay out clearly the examples of what you want. Give her the opportunity to express what she ideally wants. What's number C? Or what? That's not a number. What's part C? Assess any gaps in workability, from where and how she views it. Things to revisit. Is it still worth it to continue? This is your lead, so it's your choice. Now that you've fully got the landscape laid out, you know how she feels, she knows how you feel, you've heard each other out, there's some conversations, hopefully, because this is a relationship, but this is all telling you, do you want to continue? And I don't even say that as a joke, fellas, I really mean it. I've got it laid out, part C, for you to assess the gaps, your lead, your choice, because every step of the way, all the work that's involved, from you laying out your North Star, from leading and starting all these conversations, to all the real work it takes of decoupling, breaking up, divorcing, you're going to need to lead it all. Because at any point, I want you to ask yourself, do you want to give the keys over to her? Do you want her to drive it? Do you want her to figure it out? So go ahead and lead it. Go ahead and put on them big boy shoes and step on in there and take care of some things. Moving on to number 4, about halfway there, rounding for bring her home. You need to lay out the vision and direction as soon as possible. Now, I just told you we're feminine. It's not good at deciding. Decide, decision, cut off. When you make a choice, when you make a decision, we're going one direction or the other, that means something is cut off. Feminine is not good for that. So don't let these conversations, don't let these truths come out, don't let everything be out in the open now that we've cleared the air. And now we don't know what to do. Because just as comfortable as you are, just as will we, won't we, on the fence, all this don't drop that lead, fellas. This is on you. I'm letting you know right now. So as soon as possible, lay out the vision and direction. Don't rush, but do not relinquish due diligence. Make sure that you are thorough. Leave no stone unturned, and no more than what that requires. Take some time to find a therapist. Take some time to try on a few. Takes time to go to counseling. Takes time to have conversations and look at options. Do a little research. Get on the web. Do the work, especially if you're in a marriage, especially if there's kids. Make sure. I took 4 years. And I tell you, when I say I lead it, people outside, none the wiser. And not that there was anything hidden, but because that's the leader I am. While we're in this, we are in this. Because I've chosen to continue to work at it, to continue to lead it, to continue to contain, to continue to manage everything. And with that, it's going to be the best that it's fucking going to be. I'm not going to be here surviving. I'm done with that. Let's clear the air. Let's get what we need to work on and take it conversation by conversation. And at the end result, we'll go ahead and make that determination. But don't waste time. Don't get comfortable. Don't allow or wait on them to move things forward or start the next conversation. No. Take this on. Do this work and make sure you do it right for yourself. And definitely, yes, for her, because she's part of your village, because you've claimed her, led her into this. She didn't, what they say, slip, fall, land on your dick. It didn't just happen. So, yeah, be responsible. Step into this. So with that, have both of you identify what's missing and what you want in the dynamic. And then what are you going to do for part C? Assess the gaps in workability. Where and how she views things. I say it again because that's all there really is to do. The first part was about you. And once you decide, hey, I want to take that step and go in, you are doing this with a partner. You created this with a partner. It's your lead that was missing. But now that things are going to shift, that's why I said something had to get complete. The book is shut on what used to be. What did you used to not like? What were you missing before? From both of you. That has to come out. And now, what is it going to be going forward? Because we have to choose together. You're starting completely over. Now, I'm not saying you got to renew nuptials and shit. Let's not make it a love story. Maybe you will. But the whole context is, it does start new. It does start fresh. That way, there's no bringing back how things were. There's no bringing back the hidden. This is why you haven't led it with complaints, and this is why we need to work on this. I'm not satisfied, and I take responsibility for not course correcting sooner. There's no I'm sorry. It's let's get to work on this shit. Let's get to our best life, together or apart, whatever this needs to look like. Let's make it happen. Grounded, masculine, leadership, that's what's needed. Last but not least, stepping on number 5, lead it. Lead into your next chapter. Don't wait for her to make that choice. It's not going to happen. She needs your lead, and especially if we're talking about divorce, especially if we're talking about something ending, something literally coming to completion. Because even if she's, like I said, disrespected you, everything that you do is a pet peeve that she used to love, she still is vested. She still has good memories. She still is not sure that she can find better. Even if it's selfish or about her, there's all kinds of reasons for her to not make that choice and decision. You need to step in and do that. Do not wait for anything. If she can't get on board, or you can't find room to compromise, you've got to make those tough calls. And I live it this way. This is me personally. Find your masculine expression. It's either a hell yes, or it is a hell no. No, maybe, I'm thinking about it, I'm unsure. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live, create, breathe, die with somebody who ain't a sure thing about me. Well, we'll kind of get the fuck out. But genuinely, if it's a maybe, it's a no. We're talking about life commitment. We're talking about experiencing any amount of time together. No different than a date you wouldn't want to be on. A relationship, a marriage. If it's not a hell yes, why the fuck are we here, people? Drop the comments down below. Please let me know. Maybe I missed the mark on something. I'm always open to a discussion and dialogue, but it's got to be a hell yes or a hell no for me. Don't wait for her. But if you've had all these conversations, if you've laid out your North Star, if you've gotten in communication, opened it up, you've let her know what you're willing to do, you've created what's next, the only thing there's nothing to wait. It's either we're in this, let's start fresh, this is brand new, me and you, erase the record, clean start on both of us, or we're going to get a clean start completely separate, and let's go ahead and bring this to the end. What needs to happen? Let's take those actions, let's lay it out. Whatever direction, lead it, fellas. Lead it, fellas. Lead it, fellas. If she needs to be looking at therapy, counseling, check in every few days. How's that going? Where's it moved? What's happening? You need to lead it. If there's repair, remodeling, renovations needed, set the tone, pace by example. Hey, guess what? I found a therapist I'm going to be checking in with. I got a counselor. Are you free Thursday? We can go ahead and move it forward yourself and let her know you're serious. This is the pace. This is what she's observing. She is following a lead. Because I'm telling you, all those things I was talking about, did we stick together? How do I feel? Oh, I love him. Some good memories. He's showing up so positive, such a grounded leader. She's going to be feeling all the feels and cutting off possibility. That is going to be overwhelming for feminine. So take those steps. Take that walk. If it's going to be serious, that this is going to end, you haven't been showing up like that. So if you are now, all right, I reached out to my attorney. We're going to get some paperwork drawn up. She's going to get it. Feminine has to feel it. We can talk about it all day. We're logical. We can think ahead and look at that vision. And mind you, we want to be real, ladies. Love you. I'm not talking about women like they can't do these things. If you are MGM status, which you might not have ended up in this position, but hey, you could. Immature, naive, 22, not ready for it. I'm talking about myself. If she's a feminine woman, she's not thinking that way. She got with you to not think. To turn off. That's literally the benefit. She has no responsibility. You're supposed to tell her as the conductor, hey, we're about to switch. It's about to be some rough riding ahead. We've got some turbulence coming up ahead. That what happened when you're piloting, captaining, leading. So when you're doing that, that's what she's looking for. She's not going to be thinking about this stuff. So you lead by example and let her know this is the pace so that her feminine can feel, oh, he's real. This is going to divorce. Oh, he's really showing up and changing. These things are real. I better get on my shit. Let me step my game together. He's actually stepping into the gym, getting himself together. He's looking kind of right. All of it. So you have to lead by example. And last but not least, can you guess part C? For number 5, if it's time to call it on a count of rain, make sure it's easy for her to follow your lead out the door. I'm going to give you extra warning to this one. And why? Because like I talked about earlier, let's be real. I made it out. I know it's possible to not be taken advantage of, to have it actually be amicable. Again, with children, it's another factor you can't avoid. And even for yourself, you are going to feel grief. You are going to have a loss of something. You don't spend life building future in your mind, in your head, and those things are now deleted, erased, gone. Everything changes. You're going to experience grief. Let's be real about that. But with that, if you want to avoid being taken through the ringer, if you want to avoid a system that is not in your favor, fellas, lead it through to the end. Make it as easy as possible on her. Be her partner in that you led this. This is your responsibility. It is not her fault. It is her choice if we can't build this together on your terms. So then you are going to help and walk her through, make this divorce easy, make everything as simple as possible. Why? Because it's either that or make it a battle to the end. It's either that or have her feel like she's left alone, isolated, left out in the wind. Yeah, it'll be your origin story in her head immediately. You're Thanos and just did the snap. Literally. I mean, honestly, half the things out of existence are now gone, and that's what she's going to deal with. And when you let that come back to you, that's why divorce court. I'm not going to say anything about how finances and things end up, but my whole context is, guys, it gets rough out there if things are ending. And also, when I say the system, common law, you don't even have to be married. If you set up and spent enough time together, 1 year in some states, 3 years in some states, know your shit. But I'm telling you to lead it to the end, make it easy for her, because as soon as she has to activate her masculine, thinking about female nature, her best interest on her own, and you're still there, and she still has access to your assets, to this process, to your children. Make it as easy as possible for everyone involved, but I'm mainly talking about for yourself. Lead it. Take that lead. Take the initiative before you get taken advantage of. So fellas, be response able. Be able to respond to this situation that you created, that you led. You co-created it, but you led it. Be cautious, because the system is not here for you. And the second she's not happy, you're betting against the fucking house. I'll be honest. So again, I say it as a man testimony. I've made it through unscathed. Had my family sitting across the street from each other. Set up. Go from the burbs right into the city. But you have to lead that. I told you, I spent years doing the work. I transitioned the shit. I did my work. I have no shame about anything, and I don't care about anybody's opinion, but I share from you from testimony because this is my masculine expression. And knowing what I survived, I made it out okay, as best as possible. And I'm wanting the same for you if that's the case, because again, shout out to the old head, that family friend that I'm really making this for and speaking to. I hope he sees it one day before it's too late. But you know, if you don't step in and do this, it's just not our market. It's not our game. You know, when things turn, it turns for the worse. And it does not matter as much as we've stood on the fort, what did I say, 17 years, 15 years of marriage, holding it down. Stayed home in the burbs, raised the kids. I did all of it. And in a second, what have you done lately? Because when she's not happy, and that's after, when it's all done, did make it out all right, and now that she sees without the covering, now that she sees and can appreciate, truth comes out. Feminine has to feel. There's all kinds of spectrum to this. Honestly, I'll say that as I bring it to a close, fellas. Any deeper conversations, because as through my own experience, I could honestly talk about it for hours. One-on-one, this is absolutely where I'll say, if you've got questions about this shit, this real shit, come talk to your boy. Let me help you. Let me walk you through during a consultation and actually give you an idea of where you are and what you want to keep in consideration, because I know how to do it as someone who survived. And I know what's on the other side, so I can give you the biggest perspective for you to be able to figure out for yourself. Hit up the Stand store, and I'm going to directly say this ain't a soft pull. Go ahead and book a call, make that happen. In the meantime, fellas, I'm going to be right here. Wish you the best and only success and good luck for the brothers. My old heads especially. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I'm seeing that shit. Brothers, please don't be that one. Please don't be that one thinking that this is just women, this is just the dating game, this is just what it is. I'm too old for that. No energy, old man, old tired. All I do is make the money and provide, and she does everything else. Like, wake up to these concepts. Wake up to this world that we now live in, because if you don't, it will take advantage of you. It does not give a fuck about you. Never has for masculinity. That's not been the strong suit of society, giving masculine the praise and reward. But that's the society that we got to lead and put back in place. Be the change that we want to see in the world. In the meantime, be right here. Being the best version of myself. One could say, beyond the power. The question is, fellas, who are you going to be? Peace. Catch y'all next week. YouTube. That's your boy, TikTok. Appreciate you as always. Oh, matter of fact, we got some comments in the mix. Hold up. What's that? Very comfortable space for open dialogue. That's what I'm talking about. Who is that? Shanier Bailey. Hope I ain't pronouncing that wrong. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all next week. Drop in comments. Hit me up for a consultation. Let's go.